Welcome everybody back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. I'm your legendary host, Darryl Wingfield. We back with another one. As always, I've been spending time in nature. And that give me time to process a lot of things. For y'all, I suggest that y'all put y'all feet on earth. Not earthing, but be in nature, like for real. I tell y'all what, the signs of what's going on in the air right now in the world that we living in. Times is changing, and it's changing rather quickly. I preach this a lot on this podcast, and you better not fall behind. A lot of people getting lulled to sleep. They're not going to know what's going to happen when it happens. And a lot of time it may seem like I'm speaking extremely cryptic, but all in all, it's hard to put what I'm saying and feeling in the words, especially when it comes to, I guess, everybody playing their part, including myself, and putting our best foot forward. But when you got a bunch of lukewarm people walking around and they don't got no motives or no care in the world, and they don't seriously don't want to aspire to be anything, that's a dangerous person. They could get swayed any and every which way. This is why depression is on a rampant rise, as much as it is, and people are experiencing inner turmoil that's wild. And for me personally, I constantly ask myself, where is all of this stemming from? There has to be a starting point to all of this. And the golden rules that I preach on here all the time, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. The selfish gain that everybody looks through the world through is insane. And you're going to start finding more people that need something from you than looking to help you out and provide service to you. If you're listening to this podcast, you can be a service to other people through your gift, through that purpose that you were gifted with. And I ain't going to shy away from the light that shines in the actual world. And I preach on here that starts within your thought patterns and your emotions, your feelings. And you will express that. And the world as we know it today, society and culture as we know it today, is the expression of what the collective is thinking and feeling. And how we live morally is insane. Look through your timeline. I want you to go on Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and scroll through your timeline for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And look at how much positivity is coming by anything that is providing you value to your life. TikTok. It's like you got a real life search for these things in order to see them. And they don't want you to see things that's going to inspire you to be great and live through moral excellence. Hearing even that term sounds corny as hell. Moral excellence. What? Moral excellence. But through my faith and my walk, I have to practice moral excellence. And it's a blessing in that. It's a gift in that. And I didn't have that when I was younger, when I needed it most. And now that it was gifted to me, hopefully I can gift that to y'all that's listening. And through living like morally, and it's through the simple, small, subtle things, you start to realize that you take on the characteristics of helping other people more than it is you looking to help, being of service to people, looking rather than being a person being served. And that's a tougher task, but the world moves and revolves around the people who service other people. And we don't care about that. Our youth right now, ask them what they want to be. They most likely want to be influencers, streamers, um, content creators. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but sooner or later you're going to grow up and realize that there's wood that needs to be chopped and water that needs to be pulled from the well. What do I mean by that? We got to know the basics of how we even got here to be able to scroll the way that we scroll and be the people that we are today. Hella sacrifices had to be made, and we reap the benefits of the people's sacrifices in the past. That's the story that time continuously tells. But we can't let none of this go to waste. And with that comes a problem. We let a lot of things go to waste now. But the most valuable thing that we let go to waste is our potential as a human being. It gets divided into stupid shit, excuse my language. For those that don't like hearing swear words. Sorry, Mom. But we waste our potential. And unfortunately, once our expiration date hit and we die, that potential bias can no longer be of use. You know why? Because you don't got no body to put that potential to use. This is why our bodies are important. Our bodies collectively, like I said earlier, it manifests our thoughts and our feelings. Crystal clear. But it only comes across as confusing to us because we don't understand that process. Through training my mind with so many different things, through learning how to play the drum set, through playing basketball, there were complicated things that I wanted to learn. But in order for me to learn the complicated things, I had to learn the basics. And unfortunately for us, we skip over the basics and forget that there's building blocks to everything. And we lack the patience to learn the basics. And with the click of a button, we want everything here and now. Where is it? I need it now. But how often are you putting your well-being before anything else? Seriously. Do you put your job before your well-being? Do you put your money before your well-being? Do you put your vacations before your well-being? Thinking that that's for your well-being. Do you put your kids before your well-being? Do you put your spouse before your well-being? Because I tell you what, if your well-being ain't full of vitality and life, everything that I just named in return will suffer because you're not checking yourself first. And the reason why I named, content creators and influencers and people of those regards, majority of these people are brain dead straight up. There's only a handful that is using it to really uplift people and make people grow. And y'all feel that I don't gotta sugarcoat it. I don't even gotta lie to y'all. I can be honest with y'all. A lot of y'all been listening to me for a while now, and I really appreciate it for real. Because in a sense, this does help me out too, like I always say. And for the most part, I'm starting to notice, and this is a conversation that I had with somebody at work. This was like last week. That pretty much when you become that person that's fully capable of things, people is going to look to you for favors and all of that. When you become that guy, when you become that person, don't show no hate. Don't be weird. Don't be bitter. But show people that you're fully capable of being that person that you turned out to be, even when people don't even know the backstory of how you became that person. That's what it really means to be a human being. Part of it. I still don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But being what you are meant to become, that's everything. That is literally everything. That's all you got in this world. You don't really got nothing else. You really don't. The only thing that's guaranteed is you existing right now in this present moment. The past already happened and the future don't exist. Right now do. And right now, you can think about the past, and right now you can think about the future. Thinking and feeling, that's how powerful thinking and feeling is. To the point where you can repeat a pattern or you accept something different. And we have to start accepting different things. We can't keep accepting this BS that's going on out here. Like, I'm being for real. People attention spans, people can't even hold the conversation with you longer than 3 minutes without just naturally looking at their phone. They don't even have to have a notification. Like, I've been in the habit for the last, I want to say this whole entire year. I don't go crazy with checking my phone. In fact, I lose track of my phone all the time. I'm getting into the habit of, well, I always had the habit of writing things down and reading actual books. And that's not saying that makes me special or anything, but that engages my mind in the moment. And I have to be present to write something down. I have to be present in order to read whatever it is that's in front of me. But through that, I'm going to tell you the clarity that it gave me. And hopefully it can provide you with clarity. Knowledge is powerful. And the more knowledge that you obtain, the more your eyes start to open up about how this world works. And we're about to go back a little bit. This podcast today is all over the place, right? But stay with me here. We're going somewhere, as we always do. But written history is fairly new for us as humans, as an invention, writing things down. So think about this. Before we started writing things down, we had a different form of communication. And it was words, hand signals, looking at somebody's body to know. And that was everything. That was everything. Think about minus paper, minus pens, minus pencils, minus scrolls, minus inkwells and feather pens, minus all of that. And how information had to get passed down from a father to a son in order to survive in a real dangerous world. And I'm about to put y'all on game real quick, just to get an overview of human history, right? Before things was written down, before buildings, before cars, before we even domesticated horses, before all of that, we had to come from a place where we was unconsciously doing everything and wasn't conscious at all about a lot of things. We was making a whole lot of mistakes because guess what? As a human species, we was maneuvering through the dark. No matter what, we heading in that direction. From what our eyes can see, our physical eyes can see back then. And we thought that if we drew a circle in the ground and performed certain dances and did certain chants and bang on some drums, that the Rain Man was going to come and deliver rain. But there was something to this. And the more that we kept doing these things and being ritualistic and on a hunt, celebrating coming back with dinner and telling the stories over the campfire, these things became like central to our culture as humans. Not black, not white, not Hispanic, not Asian. It don't matter. And once we ditch that, we are heading in the right direction. But if we lean in that, what I just said, even more and more, that's going to keep fueling the problems that I'm talking about right now. Which, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. We create false narratives and false stories to fight for limited resources instead of thinking about ways to evenly distribute them. Moral excellence. These are things as simple that we can practice. Who wants to put in the work to practice that, though? And that's corny as hell. So with that, let's create hell on earth. Let's live our worst fantasies. Let's upload them online. And they don't even have to be in anybody's imagination. You can see it on Twitter. You can see it on the internet. You can see whatever you want to see because most likely somebody did it. Now, keep that in mind, people. Right? Just because it didn't land on your doorstep don't mean it don't affect you. And this is the true essence and meaning to the golden rule. If you see somebody that's starving and hungry, you should feel for them because you should know what being starving and hungry feels like. But that's called empathy. And as a society, we lack empathy. We really, really do. And I tell you what, I ain't say y'all. I said we. Every day, in order to get to my job, there are homeless / drug addicts that stand in the intersection on my way to work every single day. Monday through Friday. I got a Monday through Friday gig. And I look straight. I don't even pay them no mind. So a part of me is that piece of shit too. But I've been trying to do better in that regard. And anybody that that I come across, I try to help them in any way, shape, or form that I possibly can. And oftentimes, it's me giving way more than I'm receiving. And I don't even want anything in return. It's just genuinely the place that I'm at in my life right now. And I wasn't always at this point in my life. When I was chasing my basketball dream, I've done so many things that when I was down on myself, I chalked that basketball dream. And I turned into a worse version of myself. Suffering from all different types of addictions. Which, that's a different story for a different day. But ultimately, once I took a step back from the chaos that I was living in, I realized that, for one, when I was in that, I never blamed myself. it was other people's fault while I was in the predicaments that I was in. Not seeing the real damage that I was causing on others and myself, collectively speaking. And once I took the time out to analyze myself, I started literally realizing that I am a miniature version of this whole entire thing. And I got a part to play in this whole entire thing. And as time went on, I started realizing the people that affected me and they little parts to play in this whole entire thing. And then I noticed the ripple effect, like throwing a rock in the ocean. You're just going to see this circle from the impact of that rock sinking down in that water. You're going to see that ripple effect just keep expanding out from that central point of where the rock got dropped at. That's what happens when you pop up in this universe. And I hope that y'all are doing the best that y'all possibly can to make this experience harmonious instead of like chucking up your shoulders and saying that I don't give a shit. This means nothing. Because you're making a lot of people pay. And that's the thing, you can be right. But you also can be dead wrong. Do you want to be dead wrong to that? This body that we got, just to put y'all on game, it contains so much that has to be freed and unlocked. And the way to maximize that is by getting your heart and mind on one accord. You gotta have a sound mind and you have to have a pure heart in order to serve your purpose. Where are they going to teach you to be the best version of yourself? Where are they going to teach you to be the only you? Where do you go for that? When you look outside yourself and you look in the world, it's going to give you clues and hints. But those clues and hints is always going to send you back inside yourself first. That is the starting place. But we live in a world where people are looking into a black screen in order to realize that. And in this black screen, they are looking at other people, other entities, other spirits, giving them advice on how they should live their life. Not knowing what's going on behind their veil and what they're hiding and don't want people to see. It's showing them. This is how crazy the world is now. You're not about to real life know what's real and fake. But if you tap in and what I've been talking about and preaching on this podcast of having face-to-face human interactions and putting your phone down and know what that feel like to not be socially awkward, I noticed that. I get a lot of attention when I walk into a room. A lot of heads turn. Even when I talk, I notice that people just blatantly stare at me like I'm an alien. And they don't even realize that they're doing it. It's very unconscious. But I recognize it. And I see that. This is why I talk to y'all the way that I talk to y'all, is because I've real life experienced this on a day-to-day basis. But when people know that you hold something special, they're not going to be able to put their finger on it, but something about you is just going to be interesting, fascinating. People going to want to know more. And when you living off the values of your purpose, first off, is if it's true to you, it's going to be true to the world. And I'm not talking about what your ego believes you think you are, but your true self that takes in the totality of your insecurities, all your failures, all the things that make you ugly and horrible to present to the world. That's the darker nature side that we all have. And within that contains our true self. That has to come to the light. And what people are now doing is facing the darkness full fledged. And when they get a glimpse of the light, it blinds them. A great, 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 great story to read in regards to this is the allegory, the cave. Something that I mentioned on here a decent amount. It's in a republic, and within this, and it's so true because we experience this now and to this day, is in this allegory, the cave, people in the cave are chained up to the wall, and it's shadow figures on the opposite end of the wall that they're facing. And the shadow figures are like birds, flowers, and it's a puppeteer show, essentially, that they're looking at. And these people that's on this wall don't even know that they're shackled and that a show is being put on by people within the cave that's holding up these objects to be presented on the wall in a certain way from this flame, right? And within this story, you got one person that breaks out of these chains on this wall, and essentially it's 3 levels to get through. The first one is that deep darkness deep in the cave that you don't even realize that there's projections being played on this wall and you are never even looking at the real thing to begin with. That's the first level, right? The second level is recognizing the people that's holding up these objects of the flower and the birds and the vase. And what they're holding is actually not the real thing either. And this fire that they have is essentially not the real source. So where's the real source of what lights this cave up? And where is the birds? And where is the flowers? And what is this? Right? This is the second level. The third level is going out the narrow way of the ascension and climb out of the cave. And you're getting guided through the light. Through the cave, through the light from the sun. Not fire, but the sun. And imagine if you was stuck in this cave, deep in this cave, and you was looking at that wall your whole entire life. What do you think is going to happen to your eyes when they first come upon sunlight? You're going to get blinded. And some people, when they reach this third point of ascension, they turn back around and they go right back in a spot where they was unshackled from because they couldn't handle the true light. If you guys notice me speaking on the second level with the people holding the objects up for people to see on the third level on the wall, I want you guys to think of this because this is back in the time of Socrates and Aristotle and Plato. And essentially speaking, it was an allegory. Look up allegory if you don't know what allegory mean. This is a part of the growth. And I think it was in the Republic. I think the second book. But the people in the second level, like now in modern times, is obviously the content creators that I talked about, the influencers, the celebrities that's starting to team up with the influencers, athletes, which I was one myself. I'm still an athlete, to be quite honest. And musicians. Look at the transition of what's going on through this digital age. Remember, 25 years ago, people were dropping CDs that people would go to a a music store to go get, picking up a CD, go getting a vinyl for like $12 to $15. Now for $5 a month, you can get all the music that you want with the click of a button. That changes a lot of things. That changes business, that changes networking, and that changes a lot of relationships between how money is being exchanged, how power is being exchanged. And now you're starting to see these worlds starting to mix and collide with each other. Because guess what? A lot of worlds are crumbling apart as we speak. And agendas are being pushed as we speak. And this is why it's important for us to protect the youth at all costs and teach them that they're one of one and they have purpose and they have to live out that purpose no matter what the cost is. And we also need people to watch over them and guide them in the way that they should be guided through moral excellence. But how can a kid learn moral excellence if they're not being shown it? They're going to learn something else if they're being shown. And if we bail out the work, the actual work that needs to be done, they're going to go straight to their phones and learn the world through that. And kids are very impressionable. And like I said, we have to start looking at a lot of things in a long-term timestamp. Like, what is the world going to look like in 2050? It's hard to even try to imagine. It's hard for the world to try to imagine what this place is going to look like even 5 years from now. With all the dangers that they've been warning us about, preparing for. Scary stuff. But we're here for a reason. And due to the fact that we are in unprecedented times and they're different, drastic, you can leave a mark in history that's going to leave an echo for humans to live off of through your purpose, through what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and what you do with your body until you check up out of here. That purpose-served logo, when you see that PS in the middle, you want to know that you reached the mark. The blood that it requires, the sacrifice that it requires. And I'm not talking like, no Hollywood weirdo, Hollyweird timing, but effort, grind, and willing to sacrifice for others. But you got to sacrifice for yourself first before you're able to do that. And that is a tremendous strength. And with that, people will over time return that favor. They will. Because they're going to notice the genuine soul that you have and the spirit that was gifted to you. And I hope that this podcast episode resonated somehow, some way to somebody that's listening to my voice, Darren Wingfield's voice for the first time, and for all the OGs, man, the people that's been around with me for a while now that's been listening. I thank y'all so much. And like I said, when I see that y'all download and I see that y'all listen and I see that y'all actively on it, even with my crazy inconsistent schedule, it feels good to know that you guys, wait on this and expect that these podcasts will come out. And on my 100th episode going forward, I will be doing them live and making announcements before I start going live. But yeah, we still got ideas to results. Working with the power of your mind's eye, balancing the objective world and your personal world. That is where reality is at. And we also got the series World of Purpose, where we talk about forums, which is activities that you can participate in within your community that you're passionate about and bringing that out to the world through a function. So a form, for example, would be fitness, and a function would be some form of sport, like me playing basketball. But that's the World of Purpose series, and I choose individuals that left that impact that changed the world. So, for example, Moses is one of those people. Stan Lee is one of those people. Um, Carl Jung, I mention him all the time on here. He's one of those people. So it's people from all different walks of life, all throughout history and throughout the world, to show that it doesn't matter. You have purpose, and the world is shaped off of purpose. The world is shaped off of people ideas, and I wouldn't be able to present any of this to you guys if it wasn't for people's ideas manifested in the way that they seen, and them doing what they had to do with their thoughts and feelings with in their time frame with their body. That's the only way that I'm able to communicate with y'all from wherever y'all at. So thank y'all for listening. I love y'all and serve y'all purpose. Deuces.